there are blacks before we came here who have accomplished a lot. I'll just name a few examples. Lincoln Alexander, you know him? From Jamaica, was Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. Michael John, you know, the Haitian, was the Governor General of Canada. So when people start saying discrimination, I try to disabuse them of that feeling, that negativity.
And thank you very much for welcoming us to your house for this special interview. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, thank you very much. You are most welcome.
Thank you.
And what can I say? It's a pleasure to have an opportunity to discuss part of my life with you and, of course, hopefully your audience or viewers. But before we continue, can I preface my comments with just a couple of points?
Okay, sir.
The first point is to say that this is my own individual journey, my own personal experience. And the point I want to make is that typically everyone's situation and experience and their journey are all idiosyncratic. By that I mean each person is unique, is an individual. What I've experienced is not necessarily the same experience that others have. And as a statistician, I always caution people, what I'm telling you is just my experience. If you're going to use it to generalize, just use it as an anecdote. To have a general opinion of people, you have to do a real survey, collect information from a group of people, typically random sampling. And out of that, you can say 40% says yes, 20% says no, the others say don't know. So that's about, again, I repeat, my situation is just my situation and should not be used to generalize.
Absolutely.
So let's go. Thank you.
I agree with you. And that's why we go out to talk to different people within this particular generation that came to Canada at about that time. Because you have different people with different stories, and then the rest of us who are just here can glean from the various experiences, and then that way we'll make use of it. This is the essence of documentation of this kinds of stories by Mr. Godwin Ifedi, so that those who are coming behind can learn from it. There are certain things you experienced that people are still experiencing today. And hearing from you will now give us a better idea of why we're experiencing those things and how we can learn from your example to ensure that the kind of life we live now is balanced, or we try not to get depressed by certain things, knowing that this has always been there. You just figure out how to walk around it. So thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Absolutely agree with you. So Mr. Ifedi gave me a good background about you, and I did a little bit of research, and I observed that you left Nigeria to go to the US to work. And then from there, you moved to Canada. What kind of work were you doing in the United States of America at the time?
Well, I was a statistician in Nigeria. I worked with the Federal Office of Statistics, which is located, or which was located at Ikoyi Road in Lagos. And I was chosen to go to the International Monetary Fund to work with the fund. In fact, while I was there, I was responsible for just one page of the International Financial Statistics, IFS. And that page is the African page. You know, you might say, but how many countries do you have in Africa? To have their statistics recorded there You know, I said, 1 page. If people see, that's what Mike is doing, you know, just 1 page. But it was quite a learning experience. And I thank God I was given the opportunity to go there. I was there in 1966. 1967, the war was about to break out. And my then immediate boss, should I mention names? Yeah. Adewale, Eric Adewale, he phoned me and said, that was 2 a.m. at night. I was sleeping with my wife. She said, Michael, you have to come home. I said, Eric, I'm not coming home. Why not? I said, you know, I'm an Igbo man. You know, Igbos are being slaughtered now. I'm not coming back to Lagos. So we can guarantee your safety. I said to Eric, even Godwin was the military boss of Nigeria, military guy in charge of Nigeria. I said, not even Godwin can guarantee his own safety. Each individual's safety is guaranteed, is known and governed by God. Not you, Eric. He says, oh, we'll give you protection. I said, tell me, Eric, when Godwin travels, he's in an armored car, and there are about 4 or 5 armored cars. You don't know which one he's in. Why is he afraid? Leaders of countries where there is freedom will get up to be seen and they'll be waving to their people. But Godwin is hiding. You want me to come to be slaughtered? No. My wife was pulling me, Mike, it's easy. I said, no, I'm not going back. So decision was made that night. I'm not going nowhere back to Nigeria.
And so that's how you made the decision to come to Canada?
Oh yeah, the decision.
Why did you stay back in America? Why did you decide to?
No, I was with International Monetary Fund under the auspices of Nigeria government.
That's right.
So I was sure with the IMF, but Nigeria has the final say. So when I broke up and said I'm not coming back, it meant I had no country, I had no job with Nigeria. But IMF kept me, you know, they kept me for a while until I get something. So I applied for a job with the United Nations in New York and Dominion Bureau of Statistics here in Ottawa. I took my application to New York directly. As I walked into the, I think, 4th level or whatever floor that was, a guy came out of his office and said, Mr. Adibe. I said, how do you know me? I don't know. He said, when we came on a mission, that's the United Nations mission in Africa, we've been to various countries, but it's only with you, Mike Adibe. I remember you in your office at Ikoyi that we got information that was substantial that we used in our analysis and in the report of our mission. I said, honestly, I couldn't remember him. He says, what brings you here? I said, I'm here to submit an application for a job. He says, come, I'll take you, forget this thing. We have a standard application form. So he took me to the chief statistician, and guess what? The chief statistician got up and said, Michael Adibe. I said, how do you know me? He says, I was with you. We sat side by side in a bus traveling around Europe. We taught the 7 original countries of the common market. And who is this guy? Loftus. I knew him as Professor Loftus. He was a visiting professor at the Institute of Social Studies in The Hague. He remembered me. We were getting so many professors, and for me, just teach me, I learn. But this guy remembered me because we all taught together Europe. He says, what brings you here? I said, job. I told him my story. He says, oh, you have a job. Just call Chief Adebo. Chief Adebo was the Nigerian ambassador to the UN. Just ask him to call me, no paperwork. Ask him to call me and say, oh, Mike Adibe is a Nigerian, and that's all. I went to Chief Adebo's office. He says, oh, no, I can't do that. I don't have the power. It has to go to Lagos. Lagos was then the capital of Nigeria, not Abuja today. I said, He says, go back to Washington, I'll call you. He did call me, and he adamantly said no, he wasn't going to do anything. But luckily, I had also applied to Dominion Bureau of Statistics. And I got a letter saying they are interested in me. I said to my wife, Liz, look at, they are interested in me. How can they interview me? They are not. And the letter was signed by the chief statistician himself, Simon Goldberg. Back home, you do job, you don't sign on your own behalf. You sign for the chief statistician or for the permanent secretary. But here you sign, it's you, you put your title, you are responsible, you are accountable. So when I got that letter saying they are interested, I said, one clerk, or I didn't even look at the title. The guy was the chief statistician himself. But I said to my wife, how? Oh, they said they'll be interviewing me. I said, they are in Canada, we are in US, Washington, DC, Ottawa. How can they interview me? So I went. Shortly after, I had a call. The guy introduced himself as Alex Foti. He was my director subsequently. He says, we're interested and we'll be coming to interview you. I said, where? A hotel in Washington? He says, they are there for a conference. So they invited me to come for an interview. That morning, I drove up. I couldn't find a parking space. I parked. I said, let them give me a ticket. I just left my car, walked into the desk, asked the receptionist. I said, I'm looking for Mr. Alex Foti. He says, we don't have such a name in our guest list. My God, I nearly fainted. So as I was walking out of the hotel, I heard somebody shout, Michael Adibe. I turned around, he says, I'm Alex Foti, come. I said, they just told me you are not in this hotel. He says, so, he says, let's sit. We were in the lounge. What do you want, Michael? I want nothing. I want a job. That's all I want. He says, no, let's have tea, coffee, something to eat. So we had, I was entertained. Oh, Foti was there with a lady, I've forgotten her name. She was the assistant chief statistician for Prices Division. Alex Foti was the director of the national accounts. And there was a young lady, a statistician, who accompanied. So the three of them interviewed me. Unlike previous interviews that I had gone to, nobody asked me, where did you study? What grades did you make? What's your job experience? They said, well, we have already, we've got those things on your application. So just tell us about yourself. So I focused on the problem in the country at the time. How I've suddenly lost my country, my job. I was just in thin air. We ate some croissant and drank tea, and they looked at each other, the Foti and this lady, assistant chief statistician. And they said, well, we think we can have you. We think you are okay. How much do you want for your pay? I said, what? Because back home, You have the standard pay. If you're a doctor, you are in scale A1. If you're just senior service, scale A, scale B, scale C. So I'm saying, but this is a civilized country. They should have these rates. They should know where I should fit in. They say, how much do you want? In those days, the ministers, federal government ministers in Nigeria were making £3,000. The permanent secretaries were making £3,000. But shortly before independence, or was it, or after, they took a 10% cut. So they were making £2,700. And in those days, the equivalent in US dollars multiplied by 2.8. For me, easier arithmetic, say they're making 3,000, and the conversion rate, I use 3. So they were making something like $9,000. And with the IMF, while I was there, as a young professional, that's the title we use, I was making 8,000 US dollars. So I was doing quick arithmetic in my head. At least I was prepared to ask for what I was making. But Canadian dollars in those days was stronger than US dollars. It's a Canadian dollar is like 1.3 US. So very strong. Now it's the reverse. So I said, okay. Mildly, timidly, I said, oh, 8,000? They looked at each other and said, oh, I think we can match it. Shortly after, within 2 weeks, I got a letter. No, Alex called me on the phone. He says, Michael, you'll be getting 2 offers, one from Price's division and one from me, from my division, the national accounts. The letters are identical, but I want you to come to me. I said, Alex, the fact that you called me and let me know that I have a job, I'll take yours. 2 weeks later, I had identical letters from Public Service Commission offering the same salary of $8,550. I said, wow. I said to my wife, I should have asked for 9,000. She says, oh, you are greedy, Mike. You are greedy. Thank God. Let's go and pray and thank God that we have a job. So that's, but the condition was that I have to be a landed immigrant or a Canadian citizen or landed immigrant. So I said to my wife, now with government job, they'll just give us the landed immigrants. We went to the Canadian embassy to be met by this uniformed RCMP officer, elegant. And I said, and the guy, welcome, sir, welcome, madam. I said, we are somebody, because you don't get that type of treatment back home. I remember the Minister of External Affairs getting into an elevator, and we tried to get into the elevator with the then Nigerian Minister of External. Who are you hooligans? You getting into the same elevator with the Minister of External Affairs? And we all rushed out. Contrast it, we got to the embassy. It's like, welcome, sir, welcome. My wife and I, we were very impressed. And we thought, well, where's the form? And they gave us documents, papers, booklets describing life in Canada with pictures about housing, the economic situation. And I felt, oh, we are already there. We completed the application, submitted. A month went by, 2 months went by, nothing had. And my director at the IMF, Mr. Kissing says, Michael, what's happening? And I said, well, I haven't heard from Canada. 2-3 months. He says, don't worry, I have a connection. I don't know who he called. I was going out one evening, to get into the car, and there was this postman coming in the evening. He says, do you know, I'm looking for Mr. Adibe. I said, that's me. I have a telegram for you. Sign here. I sign. Open the telegram, proceed to Canada.